Hello, all. I hope you're doing well. We're continuing with our weekly portion review, and we are finished the book of Leviticus, and we are starting now the book of Numbers. In Hebrew, this is called Bamidbar, in the wilderness. It's also the name of the first portion of the book of Numbers, which is Bamidbar, in the wilderness. And this portion is talking about the census that we're taking of the tribes of Israel, and also focuses on the priest's duties. Being from the tribe of Levi, I am very fond of these portions. So we're going to talk. We'll dive in a little into this division with the tribe of Levi, right? Which we're separating Kohanim, priests, from Levites. And this really reflects a deeper spiritual truth, which holiness requires a balance, what we always talk about over here, between two opposing forces, right? Judgment, din, and loving and kindness, which is chesed. These are also like in Kabbalistic terms as well. Now, these forces are not really only spiritual traits, but they're also essential elements, really, to how operates in the real world. Now, the Kohen, the priest, his main task is with radiating chesed, right? It's welcoming anyone who wants to him, and he's pursuing peace. And this is allowing to bestowing the blessing on the people of Israel, as we see with Aaron, that he was a lover of peace and he would chase peace as well. But the Kohen also emerged from within the tribe of Levi, right? Which is a tribe, if we remember historically, which is rooted in a zeal, a certain strictness, which relates to the traits of din, like we were saying, of justice. Now, in this sense, a Kohen is really a Levite who's undergone an internal transformation, right? So this fiery passion for truth and justice really has just been refined into a gentle compassion now. Now, this transformation really begins with Aaron himself. He is the original priest, the original Kohen, and he described in the Torah, in Exodus, as Aaron, your brother, the Levite, right? So first we see him as a Levite, but Aaron, he is the firstborn, right? Who actually the text tell us that he rejoiced in the greatness, right, of his younger brother Moses. This is what God tells him, that that Aaron's on the way to see you, and he's happy in his heart with that you've been elected. And this is really the first time in history that we see this transformation of this natural rivalry between an older brother and a younger brother into selfless love, right? We saw with Cain and Abel, with Ishmael, with Isaac and Esau and Jacob, but here we see that the older brother is putting this rivalry aside and is naturally happy for his brother, really embracing this kindness, this chesed. And really, and by doing so, he turned the strict din, the strict justice of Levi, into this radiant chesed, kindness of the priesthood. Now, precisely because the priests, the Kohanim, originate from this judgment that was actually sweetened, that they're now uniquely suited to bring the divine kindness into the world, right? They know how to join and make a synthesis of both of these traits. Now, this, of course, leads us to ask, what about Shimon, Simon, right? Levi's companion. They're always together. What about his zeal, right? So if we know that Levi's trait was transformed and elevated, why is Simon's not? Now, the answer to this is really it lies in the difference of the intent of the actual outcome, right? After the aftermath of the incident with Dinah, their sister, that unfortunately gets kidnapped, right? Both Levi and Simon, they act out in passion, right? They get called out by their father as well for doing so, and they kill everyone that's related to this abduction. Now, Levi's zeal, though, was ultimately directed towards God, right? While Simon's remained rooted in this uncontrolled anger. How do we know this? Right? Because this distinction becomes crystal clear generations later in the story of Zimri and Pinchas. If you recall, Zimri is the prince of the tribe of Shimon, of Simon, and he falls into immorality, right? He ends up sleeping with this Gentile, and this involves idol worship as well. And by doing so, he's actually repeating a pattern that's reminiscent of what happened with Dinah, right? Getting pulled out of the family into a different family, not through the covenant. Now, while Pinchas, from the tribe of Levi, his respond with righteous zeal, right? He's channeling the din, the justice for the sake of heaven, and bringing peace by killing Zimri. As a result, right, the divine providence then separates two of these tribes and their destinies, right? The tribe of Levi was actually elevated to a spiritual service, right? So knowing that the zeal was for heaven's sake, it's refined and then entrusted with a sacred role. In contrast, though, the tribe of Shimon, of Simon, whose din, whose justice really remained unrefined and potentially destructive, ultimately he gets absorbed into the portion of Judah, right? Which this is forced him to subdue this force of his due to the geographical and tribal integration of his people. And so we learn then that din, justice alone, is dangerous. But din that's refined, justice that's refined into chesed, into kindness, into grace, becomes the foundation really of holiness. And the greatness of the Kohen, of the priest, lies really not in his rejection of judgment, but having once being a Levite, someone who knows the fire of zeal and chooses to turn that into proper light. We should all realize that in our life we have many traits. We should learn how A, to refine them, B, to synthesize them, and realize how there are times for passion, there are times for kindness, there are times for love. We have to realize when the right time is for these things and how to make sure we're orienting them all for the sake of heaven. Shabbat Shalom.